Welcome to the Virtual Film Company Studio One on VR Chat. My name is John Harvey, and today Mystery and I are going to be interviewing Jason Moore, the founder of the Meta Movie. The Meta Movie has produced Alien Rescue, which is an amazing VR experience, which we're going to be finding more about. So, Jason, let's go ahead and start by you introducing yourself.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Thanks for having me on. I'm Jason Moore. I'm a filmmaker and immersive storyteller. My background is in theater and film production, and all my life I've been making stories, movies, short films, TV shows, live theater, and the goal has always been the same: to make as immersive experiences as possible, whether it's in a film or a TV show. It doesn't matter. We're always trying to kind of pull our audiences in. And so when I discovered virtual reality back in 2016, I thought, VR and storytelling would make a really good marriage, like lots of people did. But what I discovered when I first started watching VR storytelling is that so many of the stories in VR are done with pre-recorded avatar animations that don't really help me suspend my disbelief, because the pre-recorded avatars never really fully recognize me as a virtual participant in the story. I might be there kind of physically and I can see my avatar, but if the characters in the story don't really recognize me, then I really have a hard time buying into the narrative. So that's why I decided to bring in live actors to my own projects. And I figured if we worked with live actors, those live actors could recognize my participants and really bring that story to life. And that began a multi-year journey called the Meta Movie Project. It's been over 6 or 7 years now. I've made multiple meta movies. Alien Rescue is the one that I'm running right now. And Alien Rescue is a 90-minute interactive adventure where you and 3 friends and maybe 15 sidekick friends all get to go on this wild sci-fi journey led by a group of professional live actors. And so we combine a little bit of everything in Alien Rescue. We combine immersive storytelling, we combine live theater, we use a lot of mechanics and design elements from video games, and we ask our participants to role play. So everybody kind of throws out the idea of an audience and we all go on this adventure together. So yeah, that's what I do.
Wonderful. Thank you. Jason, one of the questions that I've been dying to ask you is that during one of the festivals that we filmed, you made the comment that you sold all of your video equipment and, basically are only doing things in VR right now.
Yeah,
could you comment on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been making 2D stories for basically all my life, and I grew up in that way. But when I discovered VR, there was a point where I was like, well, this is the medium of the future for me. I'm learning more about it and getting better at it all the time. And I'm an independent producer, so I only have so many resources. Alien Rescue needed to kind of get an infusion of cash to get across the finish line. And I had accumulated many thousands of dollars worth of traditional film and video gear, cameras and lenses and microphones and, all that kind of stuff. And I knew that if I sold all that stuff, I would have enough to get Alien Rescue finished, but also I wouldn't have any more gear. And at that moment, I realized, you know what? I don't really need that gear anymore, because I just don't see myself going back to working in that medium again. I have found a medium that I really feel like really suits me for what I like to do. I can do things in VR that I just never could do in traditional 2D work. And so, I'm not saying that I'm never, ever going to make any 2D content again, but I'm really focused on immersive VR at the moment. So I do feel like I'm kind of all in here, and I'm ready to kind of put the past behind me and really try to spend my time exploring what the future of this medium is, because really we're just at the beginning. And I'm excited to see where we can go.
So, Jason, sorry about that. Eric is having some technical difficulties. Let's just go ahead and continue to just talk about the film industry in general. And, one of my personal thoughts is that, the ability to do this in VR, to create sets, relatively easily, create untold characters like yourself. It's just amazing. And I think at some point it's going to change the whole film industry. Any thoughts on that?
I completely agree. I mean, I think what we're going to start seeing are more and more instances of traditional filmmakers leaning into VR as a means of production. We're already seeing that, especially in the East, like in China and Korea, there is already an entire genre of storytelling that kind of looks like anime. It looks like traditional animated storytelling, but instead of using those traditional anime and animation workflows, storytellers are now just hopping into VR, embodying avatars, and basically shooting in live action style, but using all of these virtual environments. So that's already, people have already kind of laid down the ground for what it means to make traditional 2D work, but in these three-dimensional environments. So that's kind of one thing that we see. And I think as the fidelity of VR gets better and better, we're going to see in more and more production teams basically realizing that instead of making a traditional movie, they can make a 2D movie for 2D masses, but utilizing completely CGI workflows. I mean, a guy like George Lucas was pioneering this when he started really heavily integrated CGI and computers and virtual environments into his Star Wars. Now, of course, he's still got live action elements going on there, but it doesn't take too much to imagine a world where the VR looks much, much better than it does today, to the point where it's basically photoreal. And at the point where it's photoreal, it's just going to be more cost effective for producers to make work using virtual reality tools, just like CGI visual effects have replaced traditional special effects. I think we're going to see VR production techniques replace traditional live action. But that's only on the 2D side. What I do and what others like I do, people call us live theater. I think it's a little bit more than just live theater. I think it's enough of a new genre that it deserves its own name. And, I call what I do meta movies. Maybe there's some other better way to phrase that. But, the work that I'm doing is definitely not 2D. Right? Well, I'm not doing 2D stuff. I'm doing immersive, live, interactive work. This is a very small niche right now. But as we've seen, people really, really love this type of storytelling. So the question for me isn't so much, will VR replace 2D workflows? I think the answer is absolutely it will. 10, 15, 20 years probably. But the really interesting question is, will live immersive storytelling start to really take off as its own thing? Because for me, once I've been inside a story and the characters are talking to me and I can use my gun or make decisions or walk around wherever I want, that to me is the new movie. That to me is like a superior experience than most 2D movies. So on the one hand, I think we're going to see VR, basically replace traditional live action workflows, but the really interesting question is, will live interactive take off and gain a following? And will we start to see meta movies become the more dominant form? And that's a really interesting question.
Well, thank you for educating me on on that new term. I had no idea that you'd used meta movie as a term to describe this next generation interactive.
I do.
So I think that's wonderful. I really think that's a great way of describing it.
Well, the first couple of years when I was first doing tests and experiments, I didn't really know what to call what I was doing because nobody else was really doing this. There was no roadmap to follow. So in fact, for a couple of years, I called what I was doing a story game. That's the best way I could describe it. It was, half story, half game. And then at some point I was like, I need to find a word that like is just is a little bit better than that. So I came across metamovie, and I've been using it. I'm not saying it's the best term out there. But for me, a metamovie is a movie set in the metaverse starring you. That's the kind of the tagline that I say. And I think, that, we talk about live theater, and I think, there's a lot of great live theater happening in this space. But to me, live theater and a meta movie are not exactly the same thing. So yeah, I think we're all still kind of trying to figure out, what it is we're doing. What are the most important elements of it? How do we, is there a taxonomy? Is there a way that we can describe this properly? But the really interesting thing will be for me, will this type of entertainment really catch on and become more popular over the years? Right now, there's so few of us doing this work. All we can go on is the audience responses that we've had, which have been, as you know, very, very positive. So it's just a question of, will more and more people discover this type of work? That's the question that I'm really interested in.
And this goes, I think, to, what my next question to Jason is going to be is, for people, I really do believe that being immersed in a movie and being, one of the characters and being able to, change how, the outcome and, add a little bit of spice, depending on, your personal character that's assumed one of these heroes. The issue, though, is accessibility, right? And to provide high quality avatars and high quality sets, one really needs to have a gaming computer. Do you see that as being an obstacle for this to move forward?
Yes and no. I mean, I think, it's an obstacle for indies like myself, because when you don't have a lot of money, you don't really have a lot of options. I think for a company like Meta or Google or Apple with infinite resources, we've already seen what a really good high-end gaming company can do to develop for a device like the Quest. If you look at like those really nice Star Wars experiences, especially the new one, I can't remember the name of it at the moment, but it's a pretty big Star Wars RPG that's Quest native, and the graphics are just really, really good. But in order to put something like that together, you need a really big team and a really big budget. So I think, for people with no budgets, I don't think the Quest PC thing is that much of a barrier. I think for anybody else, yeah, it's definitely a barrier, and we're left kind of asking ourselves. We basically have two choices. You can either develop something at the very high end with the idea that it's only going to be able to be available to high-end computer users like PC VR users, or you can decide to develop for the masses and, maybe not make something as pretty or as big and then develop for the Quest users. I'm really hoping that, computer technology will kind of raise all the boats and there will be no longer really a distinction between Quest and PC VR. It'll all just kind of be the same thing with upgraded computers and upgraded chipsets. I mean, for example, if you went out and bought a computer at Best Buy today, like a PC computer, it is so much more powerful than the computers 5 years ago. It's like a new computer is almost VR ready. Like the distinction between VR ready computers and not VR ready computers is getting smaller and smaller and smaller with each year. So I do think that eventually all computers are going to be powerful enough to run PC VR. We see already Quest headsets can kind of tap in to the computer using Steam Link or AirLink. So I do think that these two different worlds will eventually merge together. But until they do, somebody like me, I've already chosen that I want to do the biggest and the best experience that I possibly can. And I don't really care about marketing to the masses right now. I can't afford to do that if I want to go as big and as great as possible. So I've personally just made that decision, and I'm totally fine with that.
No, I agree with you. I mean, I think the alien rescue experience is just mind-blowing, and the detail, and I mean it's just wonderful for those of you that haven't had the experience yet, and I would definitely recommend it. And we may just give you a plug right now. Jason, do you want to talk about where people can find more information on the Meta Movie, how they sign up, what they need to sign up?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, maybe at the end of your show, you can play the trailer or show our website. But if you're interested in the Meta Movie, we are PCVR. All you have to do is go to themetamovie.com or just type in Meta Movie into your browser and you'll find us. If you go to our website, you can read all about the experience. You can watch our trailer. You can get a sense of kind of how things work. And from there, you can buy a ticket. We have a ticketing page, and we put our dates of our live shows on a list, and it'll take you over to Eventbrite where you can buy a ticket. We have two types of tickets that are available for our show. Both do require either PCVR or just desktop PC. And on a desktop PC, it doesn't even need to be a super powerful PC. What you can do is you can choose between the hero option, which we offer 4 of those slots per show. The hero option puts you right in the center of the story. You get to be the star. You get to make decisions. You're important. You talk to the cast and crew. It's a really immersive experience. Or you can buy the sidekick ticket, which is a little bit cheaper. And in that case, you don't have as much agency. You don't talk. You fly around in a little avatar. You're spectating more than interacting, but you do have still a very immersive experience. And we're constantly trying to upgrade the sidekick experience to give you more and more agency. So you've got those 2 different options. We also stream the Meta Movie on Twitch. And what's fun about that is that it's totally free to watch the show on Twitch. And you can even use our interactive chat commands in the Twitch chat to make things happen live during the game just by typing stuff into the Twitch chat. So if you don't have PCVR or you just want to watch us first, check us out on Twitch. You can just search for the Meta Movie on Twitch and you'll see us there. But if you want to give it a shot and go for a ride, I encourage you, just go to the Meta Movie and you can find your hero or sidekick tickets right there.
Very wonderful. And as I say, I mean, I have really enjoyed the experience, and I would encourage everyone to sign up. And it's actually heartening to hear that you can actually do the experience on a PC without a VR headset. So I think that's really important. That enables many people to access.
Yeah, that's pretty much our version of trying to be accessible. Is that although we can't really develop for the Quest, we have made it available for desktop PC. And again, you don't really need a VR ready PC for that. It can be pretty much of any old vanilla PC.
Excellent. Good. So let's move on. And, one of the other questions that I, have been, I guess, mulling around is AI video, where, we're seeing Sora and, other products being able to produce actually, pretty good video at this point. We're still looking for consistency, and I think that's where, VR definitely wins over, and, of course, also the interaction. But do you see any threat there or any mingling of those 2 technologies in terms of filmmaking?
I mean, I definitely see that it's going to come onto the scene and really kind of demand our attention. If we can make stuff like what we're seeing now here in 2024, with the rate of AI advancing so quickly, so exponentially, it's either going to be a friend or a foe. I guess it depends on, what your aspect is and how you want to use it. I don't think any of us really knows exactly what to expect with AI. Certainly, I think we're going to see it get in, it's already pretty much like replaced most workflows for pre-visualization and concept, right? So like all concept art is being driven through AI right now. I would bet $50 that's probably an AI picture back there. So we're already using AI in basic ways. The next step will be probably getting involved with like visual effects and helping and having AI kind of drive that. I think we're already starting to see AI getting involved in sophisticated algorithms for face control and face replacement. So I think it's first going to be a driver in like the visual effects area. The question will then really become like, well, what about like the writing and the acting and the directing? Is somebody going to be able to engineer an AI prompt to actually make, you know, a real scene? I mean, we see these silly things on Twitch sometimes with like the AI Seinfeld stuff, and it's pretty bad. But what happens in 4 or 5 years when it gets quite good? In the VR world, you know, we're definitely talking about AI for non-player characters, you know, NPCs.
Right,
we're already, you know, everybody that I know is thinking about how can we populate a VR world that, you know, is kind of empty to begin with. How can we populate that with NPCs that are believable, right? And again, right now it's pretty clunky, but we see a lot of really interesting examples. We're seeing AI in mods of like Skyrim and other video games where suddenly, you know, players are having much more natural conversations with NPCs because it's tapping into ChatGPT. I've definitely got some colleagues over in Korea who are spending a lot of time developing AI characters, and we have actively been in talks for probably 2 years now about how we might kind of integrate these technologies in something like a meta movie. I mean, I would absolutely love to fill up the spaces and add more characters that are AI driven, but not until they are incredibly believable and don't distract. Right now, it's more in experimentation stage. You know, watching Will Smith eat spaghetti, like it's not quite there yet. So I think when AI begins to mature, then there will be some of us who are just going to latch onto that and really try to leverage it the best we can. I'm going to use it as a tool. I'm not really afraid of it. I'm just going to try to use the heck out of it once it becomes kind of ready for its debut. So, you know, I'm excited. I'm a little bit terrified, as we all should be, but I'm pretty excited too.
No, cool. Yeah, no, I've, you know, experimented, and unfortunately VR chat and spatial, you know, do not allow external calls to VR chat, or it didn't when I tried it. And I'm excited to see if Resonate allows that, because, you know, going back to, you know, what we label things, what we call things, you know, we call them, you know, non-playing characters right now. But what happens when that character actually becomes a playing character? Is there a new term for it, do you think?
I don't know. That's a great question. I like that question a lot.
So, yeah, I think there's, you know, just some amazing stuff coming down the road. So let's just switch gears briefly, and I don't know if you can talk about this, but I understand that you're working on another meta movie, something other than Alien Rescue.
Yes, that's true. I've been in development now for about 6 months or so, and I'm really excited to kind of take the things that I've been learning from running Alien Rescue for all these years and create a new experience that delivers on all the stuff that people liked with Alien Rescue, but then adds a bunch of new stuff that they haven't experienced yet. So, yeah, it's not going to be a direct sequel of Alien Rescue. I can't say too much because it's not ready to be talked about. It's not that I'm trying to. It's not that I'm secret.
No, that's
it's
fine.
Just it's not there. But once I have it all together, like I do with Alien Rescue, I will be posting a lot of video updates as we get into the development process. So people will be able to follow along behind the scenes and kind of see what we're up to. So yeah, it won't be a direct sequel, but it is set in the greater kind of Alien Rescue universe. I'm a huge sci-fi fan personally, and I think sci-fi and VR are a really nice kind of match. So we'll still be in that universe. But yeah, I'm really, really excited about it.
Wonderful. So
do you think...
sorry, go ahead, Eric.
So with the story that you have, like, do you feel like they'd be chapters almost like sequels to movies? Like you could offer an experience to where people go on your existing experience and then they could continue on to this next adventure, or are they all separate?
That's a great question. Currently, the second story that I'm working on right now is not a continuation of Alien Rescue. However, one of the things that I'm really interested in doing is allowing audiences to continue the role play that they did in Alien Rescue in this story. So if you had been a hero in Alien Rescue and you developed your character and you developed your backstory, you can take that character and role play that in our next meta movie. And carry on your story. But it's very unlikely that you're going to see the same characters from Alien Rescue in this next story. That doesn't mean that there won't be an Alien Rescue sequel at some point down the road. But for now, I was really excited to try out some new forms of storytelling and give people a really totally fresh new story.
Building up the suspense. Eric, any follow-up on that question? Go ahead.
I mean, there's so many different possibilities that we can do with this technology. So I am interested. I actually was a camera on your show a while back, and I'm interested in going on as a participant. So hearing
come on in.
Yeah, I want to come because we're an adventure as well, and yes, we believe. And there's the mysteries of the metaverse. So this sounds great. Of your vision and where you're going as a filmmaker. And
Eric, you're unfortunately breaking up to the point we can't hear you again. So let's continue, Jason. We're almost to the end of our show, and I have two last questions for you. They're similar. The first one is, as you mentioned when we started, there's some fear about AI and virtual reality and moving away from the traditional Hollywood model. And do you have any recommendations to, people that are, actors that are in the film industry right now that, from audio to videography to whatever, to prepare their skills for this next wave of movie making, so to speak, or meta movie making?
Yes, I would say everybody out there should come take my Brooklyn College class on storytelling for VR. I think what I'm trying to do as a professor of storytelling is I'm trying to teach my students that there is this whole new set of technologies and workflows and conceptual approaches to storytelling that have never existed until now. And this is a perfect time to dive in and start teaching yourself, because there are so many opportunities. Let's take actors, for example. I love to tell the story. An actor has so many more opportunities acting in the metaverse than they do acting in wherever physical location they are. Let's say you're located in Kansas and you're a great actor and you really want to tell important stories, but there's not a lot of filmmaking going on in Kansas or Iowa or Michigan, and so these actors they have to move out to LA and they try to have to do the LA hustle. But even when you're in LA, you've only got this small pool of stories to choose from. But when an actor puts on a VR headset and goes into some place like VR Chat or Resonite, even though the industry is quite small, the potential to reach audiences and work with companies all over the world is right there. If you think about the cast and crew of Alien Rescue, for example, there's probably 20 or 25 of us. We're all located all over the world. We're not bound by anything physical at all. It also really has nothing to do with your age or your looks or your background. Once you're in VR and you're embodying an avatar, we're all kind of equal here. So I think there's a lot of affordances that we can see for actors, for composers, for cinematographers. It just expands your possibilities from wherever you are physically to the entire globe. And again, right now it's kind of small, but here you guys are in your virtual studio. You need camera operators, you need set designers, you need audio people, and those positions can all be filled by literally anybody on the planet. So I think and to me that has always been the real power of VR. It's the immersion is amazing, but what's even more amazing is the power to bring us all together and to make the world a little bit tinier. So I think that for anybody who wants to kind of position themselves to be able to stay flexible with how things are moving and take advantage of these opportunities, I would say just, pick up a pair of VR, pick up a Quest headset for $300, dive into VR chat, start making friends, learn how this stuff works, because I think sooner rather than later, there are going to be real legitimate opportunities for all sorts of storytellers that will expand their horizons and expand their world of opportunities. So I would say come take my class or just grab a headset and dive in.
Excellent. So when you say come take your class, do you do distance learning as well?
Yes, so I teach 2 levels of VR storytelling at Brooklyn College, and both classes are taught fully remote. We give our students a Quest headset at the beginning of the semester, and then every class is held in VR chat. So my students are all in their home, in their bedroom, in their office somewhere, and we first connect on Zoom for a quick head count and just check in, and then we put our headsets on, we hop into VR chat, and we go world hopping, we learn about avatar design, and we learn how to make movies using the VR chat camera tools and stuff like that. So I've been teaching this class since the pandemic struck in 2020. It's a ton of fun. I'm kind of joking. It's not that easy to take my class. You'd have to enroll at Brooklyn College. But the idea here is educate yourself on VR storytelling in any way you can, because then you'll be really positioned to take advantage of this stuff, just like you guys are doing.
No, excellent. Thank you. And then we're going to move, switch gears a little bit, because one of the things that Jason has done is that he has bought himself a big screen head-mounted display. I believe that's what it's called. Is that correct?
Yeah, the big screen VR. Yeah, my HMD is the big screen VR. This tiny, tiny little thing. It just sits on the palm of your hand. It's crazy.
So do you feel that if you compare that, say, to the Quest 3, other than the weight, is there an advantage or?
I actually haven't tried the Quest 3.
Okay.
So I don't know. I have a Quest 2. What I really like about the big screen VR is that the graphics are just absolutely bonkers amazing. They're just really, really good. The device is so light that I forget that I'm wearing it sometimes. I don't even really think about the headset anymore. I don't feel like I'm putting something on. I'm just kind of just put on some swim goggles. I like that it's PC VR native. I'm not a huge fan of the Quest Steam VR, kind of multiple systems all having to work on each other. But, the big screen VR is a headset for enthusiasts who already have Steam Lighthouse trackers in their home, like I did for my Vive. So for most people, I wouldn't really recommend it. For me, I wanted to upgrade from my old Vive headset, and this was a really good option. But I think a lot of people, that Quest 3 is a beautiful device. I would never talk anybody out of buying that device. That's a really good device. Do you have the Quest 3? What are you running?
Yeah, no, I have the Quest 3.
How do you like it?
Eric has the Quest. It's beautiful. I mean, just for the price point makes it amazing. And one of the wonderful things about Meta. I mean, some people are probably shuddering hearing me say wonderful and Meta in the same. But, they continue to upgrade the device, and so they continue to push functionality, and I really like that. And again, the price point is such that
it's hard to argue with, and the wireless too.
Yeah, really hard to argue with it.
The big screen is still tethered with the cable, so there's that advantage of the Quest 3 as well.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the big game changer. I've been using the Quest 3 over Wi-Fi 6, and I cannot tell a difference between using it untethered opposed to using it wireless. I mean, I thought it would be stutter and delay, but it's pretty amazing. Yes,
that's so cool.
So, on the topic of technology here, you mentioned, motion capture. Is that necessary, or is it advisable if one is really going to go into this as a professional VR actor to get that type of gear, or can you just start, on a 2D monitor?
I think if you're going to get into VR, you got to get the headset. I don't see any real way to really immerse yourself into the world of VR without having, at a minimum a Quest 2 or a Quest 3. So yeah, I think desktop is nice for accessibility, and it's nice for like a fallback, but nothing really beats being completely immersed and being able to like move your hands around. So I would say, I guess you could dabble a little bit in 2D, but as you know, there's a big difference between playing a 2D video game and strapping on that headset. So I would say, the prices are not bad. I would say just get the headset.
Excellent. Good. Well, Jason, that brings us to our end of the show. Let's see if Eric has comms yet. Eric, any thoughts?
This is amazing. It's frustrating that I did a test. The technology's not quite here. I was wondering the Quest 3 headset, but I was like, oh no, the phone, if I get Wi-Fi, will be good enough. And I've fully enjoyed, there's so many times I wanted to comment in, and I feel like we're aligned on so many things with what you're doing. Like, I would love to have you back and go on the Meta Movie and have you back, and I'll be in the metaverse as well and talk more about.
I think you and Digitally Wired should go on the Meta Movie together, and then we can come back. Then we can come back and have a follow-up talk, and we can share your experiences. I think that would be a blast.
Yeah, no, that definitely would be. I'm Eric's down. Actually been trying to convince me to do that. So yeah.
Yeah, let's go. I'll make it work. Your tickets are comped on me. Let's go. Let's show you guys. Let's put you guys in the experience, and then come back and we can have another discussion about VR, and then you can tell me what it was like on the other side.
Very cool.
I love that.
Very cool.
I love that. And we'll head to gear at that next talk. I apologize.
No worries. Listen, you're trying out. I'm quite impressed with what VR Chat is doing with trying to offer, OS and Android mobile accessibility. I think it's really cool. Maybe it's not quite there yet, but that's just one more way to kind of grow the circle.
Wonderful. Thank you. Jason, any closing comments?
Just thank you for having me on the show. I always like talking about the project. I just on a personal level, it's so much fun to work with Digitally Wired. So for the audience, if you don't know, Digitally Wired and I work together all the time because he is a camera operator on our show. So I get the pleasure of spending a lot of time with this guy. It's always fun to be working and co-creating with you. Thanks you for having me on the show. Thank you for everybody who's watching. And yeah, we're a very independent, self-financed project. So if you like what we're doing and you want to support us, or you want to check us out, just go to the website and see if you can get yourself a ticket or catch us on Twitch.
Yeah, and remember, it's the Meta Movie. Do a search for that, and you'll see some amazing stuff. Thank you, Jason. Much appreciated.
Awesome. Thank you. My pleasure. Bye, guys.